welcome to the dungeon. This is Black and White, Volume 17, The Caged Bead, otherwise known as Bridging the Gap. Learning this bead is actually very simple. I will show you how to bridge the gap just with dots. It's amazing to watch this and just to have the knowledge of going, oh, okay, I see what you're doing here. And if you have just two on both sides, then you can actually pop another bead in the center and it looks really neat. So, maybe I should do that instead. Now I have a conundrum. It's really kind of film noir, but God, that's good. I like that idea. Yeah. Thinking about film noir makes me think about books, which makes me think about The Dark Tower, which I'm about to start listening to as soon as I start creating this piece. And just for those of you who are interested in where I am in The Dark Tower, I just began book number 4, Wizard in Glass. And this is probably this one is the thickest one out of all of them, but the story is just amazing. It's incredible. It's about Roland's childhood, and it was pretty intense. I shall be listening to that while I make this bead. And on that note, thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you guys. You're the best, and we will see you next time in the dungeon. All right, well, here we are. We are going to start the 2 beads on either side of the mandrel. And the first one, you want to make sure that you want it large, but not too large. The other one is going to be about a ½ inch or maybe a little bit more away from the other bead. Now, if you have your beads closer together, it won't seem so cumbersome if you do this for the first time. So I would definitely start the beads a little closer if you've never done this before. And at this point, I've added an extra wrap on both of my starter beads. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually watching the bead that's cooling to make sure it's on center. And as it cools, then I can bring the other bead out and let that even itself out with the other bead. All right, let's go ahead and get started with these dots. And I'm just going to add 5 white dots on both sides. And everything's going to start from there. Every time I turn the rod around, I like to work on the left side. So I'll turn the rod around so I get a better angle of where I need to work. I'm going to double up on this first row. And these aren't going to be perfect, they're not going to be perfect black and white, evenly spaced. It's just going to work the way it does when you put the glass on. Let those just melt in a little bit. You also want them slightly facing the inside of the bead there. And this is where we're going to start the bridge. Okay, now my black dots are going to be on the slight lower edge of the white dots. I'll heat those up and then I will do the other side. If I feel like the other side needs a little bit of heat, I'll just flash it in the flame. But for the most part, it goes pretty quick and I won't have any issues with that. Here, what I'm doing is just slightly bending the black dots to make them a little straighter. Instead of going out, I want them to start going towards each other. You can see that's a good view right there. Now we're going to go ahead and go back to white, add some white. Once I get this nice looking. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm just adding the white dots just to the tips of the black dots, so they're starting to come towards the other bead. Sometimes I will add one dot. Sometimes I'll double up on the dots. Right here, I'm really kind of letting that clear, or the white melt, so it starts to gently droop towards the other side. More white dots, and another row of white dots, real quick. The second row is just a little touch. And I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll heat it up, hold it down. Now they're even closer together. And of course, making sure you heat up both sides. You don't want one side to crack. Now to add the black, another row of black. These do not have to be black and white. They could be any color you want, obviously. And the shape will always turn out slightly different depending on how you make this. So here I want to keep flattening down now that I'm getting closer to the center. I want to flatten everything down so they start really getting, both sides really start getting closer to bridging the gap. This is such a fun bead to make. I love this. Especially when you get it and you've gotten it right. And there's a lot of different ways that you can make this bead that's not necessarily a straight cage. I might show you that, guys, in another video. You can make a lattice work cage and it's really amazing looking. But we got to start out simple. Here is where I'm actually bridging the gap with the white glass. If you don't feel like you have enough room to bridge the gap at this point, then add some more dots and then go ahead and add your center dot. And what I'm doing here is I'm getting quite a bit of white so I can touch both sides at the same time. And it might not touch perfectly, but you will see later on if you can add, just see how I add a little bit more after I let it cool down. That will help. But the most important thing is to bridge that gap at the very end, whether it be one small dot or kind of pulling from one side to another and then lifting up. Okay, so to me, I'm really happy with this. This is about how it should look. It's not gonna look perfect all at once. So what we have to do at this point is to heat everything up without anything collapsing. So you're constantly turning your mandrel in order to make this happen. And while you're heating this up, you're gonna notice that things are gonna start to even out in the center. Depending on how wide the bead is and the bridges are, it might look a little oblong, which is a whole nother variation on this. But I want it to be a little rounder. So what I'm gonna do is gently heat the whole bead up until I feel like it has a full heat to it, especially in the arms. Then I can start to turn my mandrel a little faster and get that centrifugal force to help me push this into the best round that I can. And obviously it's not going to be perfectly round because you're working with black and white and things may not have been put down perfectly even every time, but that's okay. It looks great just the way it is. Now to finish things off, I'm going to add a few little dots of black and some dots of white as well. There's so many variations that you can do with just the beginning of this bead. It's amazing. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you give it a try. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next volume of Black and White.